Hare Krishna. Today in our video we have a special guest. It's Pandava Bandhava, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
We will talk about different topics which are concerning the world and also devotees in general, and how to accommodate our, in one way, exotic lifestyle with modern times. This video will be in English because Prabhu is speaking English. He's from Bulgaria. So for the German, my only German speaking audience, I'm very sorry that this is today in English, but yeah.
I'll put subtitles maybe.
Maybe you can use, yeah, or maybe the YouTube is doing it automatically. Good, so yeah, that was the short introduction. Hare Krishna, thank you very much that we can make this video.
Thank you too.
This spontaneous video, but I thought we never talked so much, so I thought maybe there's a good chance. I always try to get interesting interview partners on my videos. So I thought you are a learned devotee and quite some time in the Hare Krishna movement. Maybe you can speak a couple of words about yourself to introduce yourself also.
All right, I joined the Hare Krishna movement when I was 23, 24. I was in law school in my country, in Bulgaria. And I just got Bhagavad Gita from my schoolmate, and I found it very interesting. Then I moved into the ashram, and I was still studying in the university, getting my exams, and doing book distribution at the same time. So it was interesting experience. Then I went to Radhadesh for 2 years, and after Radhadesh, 2005, with Tulsi Prabhu, we went to Mayapur, and since 2005 we are in half year. We're in Mayapur. I have service in the Gurukula with the Gurukul Maharaj, and the rest we are in Europe, distributing books, making harinams, cultivating people like this.
So you joined when you were 23. So now
20,
you are.
Yeah. Now I'm 46 almost.
So 23 years already in the Hare Krishna movement. So the same time you were not in Hare Krishna movement, you are now in the Hare Krishna movement.
Yeah, like half.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward soon to have the predominating, bigger part of my life as a devotee.
Yeah. So you experience many things. So you also, because you say you experienced India, you're a lot in India, you're preaching also and sharing the message of Krishna consciousness in the West, in different countries also. So what could we speak, how could we make, we as communicators of this Vedic philosophy, of this ancient Vedic philosophy, how can we make this knowledge relevant to the modern people? Is it still relevant? That's what many people ask, right? They say, oh, religion is out of date, what's the use of it? In a very atheistic circles maybe. But so what would you say, what are your ideas, how to make this message relevant for these times?
First of all, it should be relevant for us. Sometimes, like, this question is often asked. Devotees are thinking how to make it relevant, but if it's not relevant for us, how are we going to inspire other people? And regarding religion is not defined often. Srila Prabhupada doesn't define it as faith. Sometimes, but most of the time, Srila Prabhupada explains religion or dharma as the inherent nature of something, of an object, or of a human being, soul, or God, or anything. So it's not a matter of speculating or accepting or rejecting. That's not our prerogative. We don't have this right. Religion is just how the things are working properly. That's what religion is. So
laws of nature.
And Maya Dikshana Prakriti Suyatesya Characharam, behind nature is the lawgiver, the lawmaker, Krishna. So if you want to be successful in any material or spiritual endeavor, we should be aware of dharma, of these laws, and we should act accordingly. And if you look, there are the same laws that they apply. If you want to be successful in material or spiritual life, there are the same laws. You have to be focused, you have to be determined, and then there will be a result. Of course, the result depends on Krishna ultimately, but we should put the endeavor. So how do we make it relevant? Srila Prabhupada has this famous purport in Bhagavatam where he says that the preachers, they should find newer ways how to impart or inject this knowledge in the dull brains of the modern people from modern civilization. So that's the challenge, how to make it relevant and interesting, and at the same time how to be loyal to our parampara. So I guess all spiritual traditions, they have the same challenge, and everybody goes through the same difficulties, how to do that. One thing I found out during the years is that if you're confident, then people, and if you are comfortable with yourself, then people are comfortable with you.
Yeah, so authenticity is very important.
Integrity.
And integrity.
And finding happiness in what you're doing. And of course, people find happiness in so many weird things, but our advantage is that our happiness is real, it's authentic. So if we are happy with what we are doing, and if we have faith and confidence, if it is important to us, then it will be important for at least for this segment of society that is ready to take it. So we shouldn't worry so much about it.
Then I agree very much that we should not worry too much and think, oh, how is the society working? We have to fit in perfectly and do as they do. The major point, as you said, if we are happy with it, if we like it, if we are convinced, then we communicate much better. And people, anyway, we want them to follow our path more than we follow their path. So if we are strong, they will see, wow, it works for them, so why not? And then the fear of changing is not so big, because they see, oh, it works for him, okay, maybe I can also do like this.
Right. And also this idea of fitting in. Where do we fit in? Because society is highly fragmented in so many different groups. These groups of society, they don't fit in very well in one another. Like if you go on the street and you see people with suits and ties, and then you see the punks and alternative people, liberals, they don't fit in one another's group.
Yeah.
So how do we this very idea to fit in the society, there is no such like homogeneous group that exists that we can just fit in. And usually there is one section of society that is very vocal nowadays. The like middle class, little bit sophisticated, liberal type of persons who are having, let's say, bachelor degree of some type, and they are actually very vocal. So the devotees, sometimes we think that this is the society, but society is much more
that's
complicated.
Interesting. So I try to avoid the word preacher at times. It's loaded, but anyway, we can say the preacher. And so the preacher or teacher or communicator, how we want to label facilitator. So the one who has a desire and urge and spiritual passion to share Krishna consciousness, how much, or he has to then see what is actually my target group. If we think, oh, I can preach the world, it will not work.
Yeah, that's not a thing.
So we have to understand what is my target group, and then see what are their needs, their concerns, and see how I can connect with Krishna consciousness.
Exactly, yeah. And time, place, circumstance, Prabhupada is using this term. Use the same language as they are accustomed to. Use, I guess, the same examples. Try to, like Prabhupada spent lots of time trying to understand the mind of the Americans at that period when he was there in the very beginning. So just trying to understand their fears, their ideas, their desires, but at the same time present the Vedanta philosophy as it is.
Yeah.
Don't water it down or present something else. This is actually, I think, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati mentions that this is one of the offenses. People, you don't actually deliver the goods, you deliver something else. And so people are cheated. It's not.
This often happen nowadays when devotees, preachers, whatever, then outreachers, then they bend too much. I see, especially now on the internet, because there are a couple of other fellow monks or devotees who are at times really successful actually, but I see they sacrifice the authenticity for the success.
I guess it's very tempting because to be accepted and to be liked, to be popular, it is a natural urge for all living entities. We all want to be accepted, and we want to see that our endeavors are appreciated by others. So it's, I guess it is a question also of having confidence in yourself that whatever you do is right according to the highest laws in the universe, according to the Shastra. And if this is enough for you, then you don't actually need so much appreciation from others. Then you already fulfilled emotionally, spiritually, in any way. But if you're insecure, if you really need this approval of others, then I guess it's very tempting to here and there to make little compromise, just because you're not confident yourself. You're insecure. It's like you're having dinner and you order pizza, let's say, and French fries, and your friend, he's ordering whatever, sabji, chapati, and then you feel, oh, maybe I should have ordered this. But if you are confident with your choice, then you can sit in the temple and he can eat his thing, you can eat your thing, and then there is no problem. You're okay, you're comfortable.
Yeah. But temptation is there, especially, I see it also. I'm also doing something on YouTube, and I see if I would say more this or that to make a video like this, at times, and often this is not so much related into Bhakti or tradition, but I would get more clicks. So, but it's, how to say, it's tempting, but so actually we should please Krishna than the public. So we have to have, so if you don't have a transcendental vision and education and deep absorption and taste, then we get sidetracked.
Yeah, we get carried away. And that's the history of the whole spirituality. You see this everywhere in all traditions. It happens. So I guess I mean, it's normal to happen.
It's normal.
With us,
it's normal.
It's to be expected.
Yeah. So in that sense, all the movements, all the spiritual movements go through the same phases, same challenges. Yeah. We as ISKCON devotees shouldn't think we are different. We are the Hare Krishna movement, but it's same always happens.
Same things. We see the history of Christianity. At one point, there was a discussion how to present it, and some people were saying that we should get rid of all these Jewish cultural elements in it, because it's a Jewish tradition. It came from the Acharya is from this background. Yeah. So one very influential follower, he decided that we just presented the essence of it. Just have faith in Jesus and get rid of all these cultural.
You mean things. When it happened with Paul?
Yeah.
Paul, and then he had the discussion with Peter. Was it with Peter?
I think so. Yeah, there were the two groups.
And was about the circumcision.
About the whole cultural background.
I heard especially the circumcision, because he went to...
It's the most extreme thing.
That was the extreme. He went to Rome, and he was not preaching that. And then was challenged by the original disciples, and they had a meeting, and they asked, what are you doing? You are watering down, like Krishna West. But he said, but these are Romans, we cannot cut their valuable part of their body.
But it's difficult if you have just the philosophy and it's divorced radically by the culture, by the tradition. Yeah. Then what will happen is that you will either follow the culture, the dharma of the Vedas, or you will come up with your own idea. Because you should have you cannot live without culture. How do you brush your teeth? How do you take a shower? How do you eat? How do you make your haircut? Either you follow the Veda, which is the culture in the sattvic, in the sattva guna, or you will come up with your own concoction.
So this is our argument for Veda, that we say Veda is the perfect representation of at least Sattva Guna, or recommends Sattva Guna. So like these are principles of the universe. So we follow this. So this is not just an Hindu tradition or someone who wrote it down. No, it is actually a representation, a reflection of some principles and laws of life. And the sages who understood this perfectly well wrote this down. So these are Sattva. And yeah, as you said before, because Sattva we can understand. Now these people tend towards this lifestyle also, so we can present in this way anymore. Because I see sometimes, because we live in the West, and rationality and enlightenment movement,
doubting everything,
doubting everything, so it must be also logic, and so we might think, oh, it will be difficult because we have a more, like we have a revealed knowledge, and what about Anumana? But actually it should go in one sense together, and we have a lot of aspects in our philosophy that we can present it also in an enlightenment way to some degree.
Of course, Anumana is supposed to be used to understand Shabda. There are different levels of acquiring knowledge. First is Shravana, you hear from the authority. Then next is Manana, you're supposed to think over. You use your intelligence to understand. Not doubt, not to think, oh, is this true or not? This is actually not accepted. This shouldn't be done. Maybe in the beginning, but once one accepts spiritual master and take initiation, then he shouldn't doubt anymore. He should use his intelligence, her intelligence, to understand how Shastra is true and how it applies to my particular circumstance in my life. So that's why you have the Smritis. Smritis give example about so many great devotees, so many great sages, how they applied the Vedic knowledge in their life and what result they got. And how Vedic knowledge was misapplied and what was the result. So this is the tradition, the Smriti.
What do you mean it was misapplied? There was an example? Or?
Well, for example, King Vena, he misapplied the Vedic knowledge. So many other examples, Duryodhana, Dhritarashtra. And you have another side, you have the sages, the great kings, the great devotees. They also applied the Veda, but they got great results. Like Kardama Muni, he had fabulous family life. He got a princess. Krishna personally came and he told him, you know, the girl that you have been meditating for a very long time, I already arranged, she'll come, exactly appropriate for you. And then his kids were very Krishna conscious. In fact, one of his kids was actually Krishna. So it's an example how you can be happy as much as possible in the material world, applying the Veda, and also attain the perfection of life at the same time. So these are the examples, and we have to use our intelligence how to understand Shastra, how to apply it, not how to find contradictions, mistakes, so-called. This is a misuse of the intelligence.
So what I wanted to say, because I got a question recently on my channel, which was interesting, which was to the fact that, like enlightenment movement, there's always a progression of knowledge, and you research and you understand, it goes further and further. But if you have a text and religious text, you're kind of stuck in your philosophical development, because you cannot think further or something like this. So in one sense, it's a hindrance. So I thought, first of all, of course, we understand Veda is a knowledge of the supreme, so you can never get stuck because it leads you to the highest. But the other thing is very interesting, that we understand Shruti is eternal. It's like more static. It is as it is. Right, there's the knowledge of the Upanishads, and they're always like this. And Smriti, in one sense, it's more fluid because it reflects the universe, how it was created, the stories. They always change from kalpa to kalpa. And in one sense, it's an adaptation to also time-place circumstances. Vyasadeva was writing it down and in this way. And then we have our tradition, we have our acharyas who always write according to time-place circumstances. So in one sense, we do it the same way, but in a spiritual way. So it works also. We have that aspect also of enlightenment, of progressive thought, of understanding, and looking on different points of view, from different points of view. What would you say to this, to challenge this accusation?
Yeah, just see what Prabhupada did. He was very innovative. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati before that also. Um, people often mistake. They think that being whimsical is the same as being spontaneous, but there is difference. Whimsical means you just want to speculate. You want to follow your the dictation of your mind and senses, and in this way you'll never attain any success materially or spiritually. And spontaneity means that you actually followed the rigid discipline of your particular field, music or philosophy or whatever you want to do, and then at one point, because you followed the rules, the dharma of this particular discipline, then you became spontaneous. Like these great composers or great musicians or painters, some of them are very unique and modern in their approach, but actually they, like Picasso, he can paint, like he can actually make art like the old masters.
Oh, I should have done.
Yes. Well, okay, but that's why people pay so much, because he can do it, but he developed well, his particular unique contribution to this field.
I'm not a fan of modern art.
Yeah, I just, you know,
but they're different.
People like him, but that's the point, is that you have to submit to a discipline, and only then you can become, like, people want to be free to express themselves, but who wants to? If you have a 5-year-old trying to impress you by some kind of art, who is like, okay, the parents, they like it, some people think it's cute, but it's just like under the modes, he's just following the gunas. So we have to have this rigid discipline, and then at one point it will become natural expression of our unique love for Krishna, how we see things, how we experience this, how we express this. And in this sense it is like very dynamic, because like, for example, prema, it's the goal, but prema is just the first stage of prema. Inside prema there are several stages, and just people think that the spiritual life is very boring. That's the problem. Because they don't have real experience of real spirituality. They think the fun is here in the material world, and spirituality is, you get stuck like this. You get stuck with spirituality. But that means you don't know what spirituality, what real personal spiritual process means, because once you have experienced this, you'll never say this. Because it's always expanding pleasure and it's adventure and
because also of this impersonalism in the West, and either Christianity, where you don't have any understanding what is in the heaven going on really, and you think, oh, it's very boring, I become an angel and I sing on a harp all day long, or it's a negation, and then it's really, really boring. But if you understand Krishna's Leela pastimes, associates, and you see how much fun they have and what a wonderful God Krishna is in that sense, then it's not boring to go there. You want to go there.
We have to just to experience a little bit drop of this nectar,
and we have to experience it.
That's our actually responsibility. To expose people to this nectar.
Like
there is this saying, some medieval scholastic scholars, they were saying that for those who taste, amongst those who taste, there is no contradiction, there is no debate anymore, because they tasted it. So if you tasted Krishna, then all these discussions are over.
So in regard to this, would you say then that this is that would be the real inter-religious dialogue, if some of the practitioners of their religions have real experience of God, and we would not say they don't have, right? We wouldn't say we are only Hare Krishnas, a real Christian will have, and those could really come together and discuss, or those could really make world peace, and the other fractions, they will always fight because they are hovering on the mental platform.
I think that's right, because Srila Prabhupada says in one purport that the Kanishta Adhikaris, and we can apply Kanishta Adhikari to all around all types of religious traditions. They have Kanishtas, Madhyamas, Uttamas. So Kanishta Adhikaris, they always fight, because they always think that my devotion is better than yours, and I'm on the top, I'm the most advanced devotee. But at least my experience with religious persons is is that, as you said, if they are high in the spiritual hierarchy there and in spiritual understanding, it's much more easy to come in terms with them, to understand what they're saying, and for them it's also easier to appreciate Krishna consciousness. So, yeah, I think.
But what about those we meet sometimes, very dedicated to their religion, especially these Abrahamic traditions, because they all have inherent this kanishta. They absolutize kanishta, one sense, right?
Yeah.
So they're very dedicated. I even think, yeah, they have their experiences with God, but they are super fanatical.
What to do then?
Yeah, because we said now those who are high,
Yeah.
actually it's nice to communicate, but we see often people are really dedicated and they have taste and they glorify their Lord, but at the same time everyone else is, according to them, going to hell.
Yeah, that's the thing. As long as they don't commit offenses, they're well established. We just shouldn't provoke them, and should try to, I guess, if they're very envious, we should have to avoid them. If we can keep some conversation, we should try to present it in a very generic terms so that they don't commit offenses, because this is actually their problem. It's not that they are very committed to their tradition. This is good. We appreciate it.
But the inherent flaw, especially in this Abrahamic tradition, I see that they think they are, because all of them, Jews, Christians,
they come
Muslim,
from the same, yeah.
everyone has and this is like Jesus the only way, and for them their Jewishness is, and in the Veda this is not at all. They are seen where this Bhakti principle is represented, and then we can understand.
It's a problem. Like I was reading one of the earliest Greek historians, and he was describing how he went to, I think, to Babylon, and he saw this huge temple there, and the way he reacted when he saw this was, oh, this is the Babylonian Jews. So this was the old ancient world. That's how they related to the others. Okay, they worship the same God as me. It's just in different way. Yeah. Very similar to what we would say. But then with the, as you said, with the Abrahamic, when Christianity came, and then this paradigm was changed. It was not anymore the same God in different form or expression. It was different God. It's actually not God. It's the God's enemy. So that's a problem. Yeah. And how to solve it? I think
because it's difficult because it's their dogma.
Yeah, but it is the dogma. But my experience is that not even half of at least these Christians that I meet on the street distributing books, not even half of them are actually rigid followers of this dogma. Most of them, although they may know this, they actually cannot identify themselves with this particular dogma of their tradition. So they are very open-minded. And I mean, the fact that we're sitting here and talking freely in Germany about Krishna consciousness proves that they don't actually follow this dogma very rigidly. Otherwise, you cannot do this in Muslim countries, most of them. So,
but from other point of view, we don't live in a Christian country. It's a secular country, and they abolished that. So who knows if Christians would be completely in charge, what they would do then?
But depends which type of Christians come in power.
But maybe we go a little bit away from this side. but now, like ISKCON or devotees, our devotees, at times we can also make what can be a danger of these principles of fanaticism and kanishta also in ISKCON, because we also have fractions. We have all split-offs, and then also devotees or gurus, and then you think, oh, my guru, or my mood, or my movement, or my ISKCON, or not this and that. So maybe we can talk also a little bit about this, to get rid of this, and without being then not loyal anymore, right? Because we think we are very loyal to Prabhupada, to my guru, or to my line.
So, yeah, this principle of niyamagraha should be avoided. One shouldn't follow the rules and regulations of Bhakti only just because of the rules, not because of the spiritual advancement. And this is the one extreme, and the other one is don't follow them at all. So these are the conservatives and the liberals, and this is the fight that is going on, I guess, in all social, political, religious movements. and we should be in between. We should try to, as we spoke in the beginning, we should try to present the same Vedanta philosophy, but according to time, place, circumstance. And I think it's a question of spiritual growth.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
It will come naturally. We're a very young movement.
Yeah.
And we went through certain phases, and we will go through, now it's a certain period in our development, and things will, especially with the second, third, fourth, fifth generation, Prabhupada made some statements how the kids of the kids of the kids of the devotees, they will be more and more elevated, because this will be their own culture. For us, this is not our culture.
Yeah.
We didn't grow up in this culture. Yeah. But for them, this is their culture. They were born in this movement, and for them it will be easier. And I will just have to mature. And it takes time, usually.
Yeah, it's a good point, because I was thinking also how Prabhupada made very strong statements about God brothers, not ISKCON movements and all this. And once he was also approached like this, and someone said, why are you doing like this? Because you keep your devotees very close. And he said, yes, but it's like a plant. In the beginning you have to protect it, but when it's strong, you don't need this anymore. So I can see this also like in my spiritual life. I had to be very strict, focus on Prabhupada's teachings to understand, and now can do many other things too. But before I could not do. I would become bewildered, watered down, I would leave or go here and there. So we have to know also for us senior devotees, now senior to some at least, how to help them to become steady, and then they can, it's more spontaneous.
It becomes spontaneous. Like my Diksha Guru, His Holiness Dev Maharaj, he said that he spent, I think 5 years, he said, I spent 5 years, he's intellectual type of person. He graduated from Yale, he's very brilliant. But he said, I spent, I think 5 or 6 years just reading only Prabhupada's books. I didn't read anything else. So I guess that's this period when we should just nourish and protect the tender Bhakti Lata, Bija, and then we can do so many things. Go outside and use many innovative methods and talk to different people, which might be not agreeing with us. Aspects.
Yeah, I feel like this was many years. I was also reading only Prabhupada's books, and there was a book distribution and the Sankirtan Van, and it was so important. And now I can see I can do so many things, and I so far don't get sidetracked. It's Krishna's mercy, and now can be even more productive. Then if you think right from the beginning, I need to this. No, we should really focus on the essence. Focus completely on the essence.
That's the inevitable stage of restricting ourselves in the beginning. With every types of endeavor, it is the same. You restrict yourself. Maybe it's little artificial, but then you will actually be able to do so many things. Like Gurukula, for example. You send the boys, they have to go to Gurukula around 5-6 years old, and they stay there for a long time, at least traditionally for 12 years. This is the time when you memorize one Veda. It's 12 years. And maybe you want to do so many things, but which you're not allowed. Our boys are, for example, in Mayapur, they don't have internet access, they don't have smartphones, they just do whatever they're told. But by following this discipline, by the time they're 12 or 11, they already are leaders of other boys. Show me where in the West you have 11-year-old boy who actually not only is aware of himself that he has to perform his duties, but he also takes care of 5 or 6 other boys and makes sure that they perform their duties. Where we have this example in the West?
It's amazing.
So it's inevitable.
I was now there in Mayapur. I had some interview with Pradyumna, good friend of mine. His son is in the Gurukul. Vamana, and I visited the Gurukul, and we made a tour, and I was a little bit going into this topic, and it's actually amazing. And these devotees who come out of this, it's amazing. How to say, purified. This is what Prabhupada wanted. What is it? Kamara Acharet Pragyo. And then you can see the result, how good they will become. And the world needs that.
And it works.
And And you are a teacher there too, or how? So you said a half year you are in Mayapur?
I am working on the curriculum development for the adults, not for the boys. We have two departments in the school. So we have the Bhaktivedanta Academy is the entity, the legal entity, the academy, and inside there like the boys' school. And we have the Shri Rupanuga Paramartika Vidyapit, which is the adult education. And I'm working with the adults, compiling the curriculum. We have a team of devotees.
Okay, but it means you have an education for adults too, or
yeah, we have,
for the some courses, or
yeah, we have we run these courses, study like the equivalent of Bhakti Shastri, Bhakti Vaibhava, Bhakti Vedanta.
Oh, okay,
we have our own degrees.
Which goes a little longer, yeah.
It takes long. It takes 12 years.
12 years.
Right now we are running the 8th year.
For Bhakti Shastri or everything together?
No, Bhakti Shastri. The equivalent of Bhakti Shastri is 3 years.
Okay.
But then we have all the rest, and now we will start with Chaitanya Charitamrita next year.
This
so
is
three
the Sarvabhauma.
The equivalent, yeah. We have different names of this.
Okay. So what are you working right now on?
Right now, I'm working on Nectar of Devotion. And Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, I'm editing because we have other devotees who are doing the first draft, and I'm just going over and supervising. And
so you're expert in Nectar of Devotion, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu?
If you say that you're expert in anything, any Shastra, that means you're not... no, just... we're just trying to go deeper and to appreciate and to relish and to apply the Shastras. The goal is to... Bhaktivinoda Thakur uses this term Svata Siddha Gyan, that means the innate, the inherent knowledge of the soul, to awaken this knowledge by this absorption in studies and application. That's so important also.
So when you study now Nectar of Devotion, which source text do you use for getting a bigger picture of the whole text?
We are using Bhama Swami's translation, basically, and there are commentaries by Jiva Goswami and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur.
So these are the main...
These are the main sources, yeah. And of course, well, what we did actually, I think it's unique in ISKCON. We took the translation of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu verse by verse, done by Bhama Swami, and we connected this with Nectar of Devotion. Because Prabhupada basically comments and he elaborates on each and every verse, but he doesn't say it specifically that this is... So, but we connected those, and now we have the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu verse translated by Bhama Swami. We have the paragraph where Srila Prabhupada explains this, and then we have the commentaries of Jiva Goswami and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur coming below. So it's quite interesting.
And this is ready already? The whole text you compiled already? It's available?
Part of it.
Part of it. Because also this is now my dream project to go into Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. I started a bit, but...
It's amazing.
Yeah, and on that point I would have a question, that because in the beginning he says, Rupa Goswami says, there are two kinds, as far as I understood, two kinds of bhakti. There's the Cheshta Rupa and Bhava Rupa.
I was reading about this.
How you can do bhakti. So I was wondering, Cheshta Rupa means the physical body, and Bhava Rupa means like kind of the emotional body. So my question to you is now, on which stage in our spiritual life, because he says it right in the beginning, is the Bhava Rupa relevant? There are verses like in Brahma Samhita, Yankroda Kama Sacha Praniyadipiti, you connect all your emotions with Krishna, and then you develop a certain Rupa also to that. So that would be kind of a revolutionary thinking, at least for myself, to understand I use my emotion, which I have right now, and serve with them Krishna, put them on Krishna. Or is it, no, Bhava Rupa means also only on the stage of Bhava.
Yes.
So could you shed some light on this intriguing thing?
It means both, because Bhava is the active principle that propels one, moves forward the devotee, because it gives the spiritual taste, the ruchi. But it comes down to Shraddha already. And there is this thing that Prema is just a condensed Shraddha also. So Bhava starts from the very beginning, but when it becomes very strong, then it's called bhava, on the stage of bhava. Otherwise, we cannot move forward because we need some attraction. This is the principle of attraction of Hladini Shakti. So it's all true, all the way through. But in the beginning, we should not take so seriously our emotions, because they are not spiritualized completely. They have little spiritual content, but they're mostly material. And after Anartha-nivritti, the level of Nishta, then this is where advanced devotional service begins. Pure devotion begins from Nishta level. And there are different levels of pure devotees also.
So what would that then mean for a devotee who is on a Nishta level, which is in one sense not that high, especially in ISKCON after 40 years, 50 years ISKCON. I think there are some devotees who have Nishta.
Oh yeah.
We can say. So we will also get it in some point of time, right? Anartha-nivritti, then Nishta. In one sense, we are already on a certain Nishta level. We are on a certain Ruchi level even.
Yeah. Ruchi is also there. It's just not so strong yet.
Yeah, exactly. It's not so strong. So I wonder what does he mean then with this Bhava Rupa? How is then devotional service executed in the Bhava Rupa? Because it's Bhava Rupa, it's a form. So how is it done then? Is it this meditational part?
You mean on the Bhava level?
Yeah. No, when he says there's the Cheshta Rupa and there's the Bhava Rupa, and he says Rupa. So Cheshta Rupa means like the physical form, Rupa.
It's the attitude in which you do your duties. Like we do the same thing every day. This is our routine, but the attitude will be different. It will be spontaneous first of all, and then it will be there will be attraction on the level of ruchi, attraction to the service itself, and on the level of asakti it will be already attraction to Krishna as person. So it's more the attitude. The activities will remain the same, with maybe exception that those who are very advanced, they will pay attention to and will perform more certain elements of bhakti, but the activities will be the same, but the attitude will be different.
Okay. And what about the meditational part? And when he says that you have to follow in your sadhaka rupa, it says sadhaka and siddha rupa, and then it said you follow the inhabitant of Vrindavan.
Yeah, that's
so
the thing.
Is this then, or let's say like this, how much has a meditational part place in our spiritual life? Because there are other lineages which stress this more than we. Across this in a practical way in the Shila Puja. In our ISKCON manual Shila Puja, you have to do a Manasa Puja before you start. You do everything in the mind. And there it started for me too, because this was an aspect which I never stressed.
Esoteric.
Yeah, it started and become more esoteric, and actually it is a huge thing. So it is there, and then I saw this in Rupa Goswami stressed that too. So how much is this of relevance? How much will it come? How much should it be done? And all that. What is your opinion on that?
But it is part of our sadhana, because we do also Sandhya Vandana, like Gayatri. This is also in the mind, and the pujaris, they have to do it. If you worship also Shalgram, you have to do it anyway, every time. So, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, as the third process of bhakti, you remember the Lord. And one of the types of the deities of the Lord is the deity in the mind. Like they are like from earth, from jewels, you can draw on the sand, but one of the deities is in the mind. So it's very much there, it's there, and we do it. When we chant, we're supposed to engage our mind.
Right.
The thing is that right now, this meditation on, let's say, in our spiritual form, it's not of a big practical use for us. It's like telling to 3 years old, 4 years old, okay, this is your future husband, and it doesn't make practical sense, and it will come naturally. That's the mood of Srila Prabhupada. And also one of the acharyas, who was this? Maybe you can tell me. Somebody asked him, what is my Svarupa, and he told him, your Svarupa is Krishna, Nitya Krishna Das, something like this. So it will come naturally with the advancement of our bhakti. And then we'll realize at one point, by the mercy of the Guru, what is our eternal position. And then Raghunath Das Goswami begins his book Manashiksha by offering obeisances to all residents of Goloka, those who are there in their like eternal form and those who are there by meditation. But this is not to be, you have to wait until it happens, because for example, Bhava is described, the definition of Bhava described in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is Shuddha Sattva Visheshatma Suryamsho. It is just like sun rays, sunshine, like a ray of the sun, which enters the mind of the devotee, and it is it contains Hladini and Samvit. This is the spiritual potency of the Lord, the knowledge potency and the blissful potency. And it permeates the mind so much that actually, Jiva Goswami in commentary, it's written that it becomes the mind. It basically substitutes the mind. So you don't have material mind anymore. And then the mind becomes like the mind of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu was, he was seeing these dunes in Puri, and he was thinking this is Govardhan. He was observing the ocean and he thought this is Yamuna. That means the spiritual mind. It is spontaneously attracted to Krishna. And until this happens, until Krishna gives this his potency to enter the mind of the devotee, until then we can just practice and pray and take association of the devotees. But it has to happen spontaneously because Krishna is giving it.
So then it connects to the statement right in the beginning, this Bhava Rupa, doing really as it's meant. It's on a very high platform when there's a divine revelation, and then the sadhaka, because still sadhaka, is doing devotional service physically as prescribed, but internally he does all kinds of things in a very natural and original and a true way, and it's not speculated.
No, and trying to cultivate the mood also, emulate the mood of Srila Prabhupada, of our acharyas. The most advanced devotees, the gopis, we see that everybody appreciates them. Like in Bhagavatam, Bhishma is glorifying the gopis while he's laying on the battlefield, leaving his body. So there is no need that we imitate the activities of the gopis, but the mood of the gopis, this complete surrender to the Lord. This is what we have to emulate.
This is a very essential point, because when we think about gopis and this and that, and sometimes even devotees put it into a weird light, because we have always this fear of, oh, sahachya. But it's not sahachya, it's the mood. It's not that we do like them, it's just how we experience, how we feel, that we should be like this. It's a very essential point. So maybe you can give a little advice in the end. No, maybe you can wrap up. So on this point, this very essential, important point, what is then this mood, and how can we develop it?
Wow. It is the mood of putting Krishna and his pleasure as the most important thing, and just be able to dedicate all of your endeavors and your whole life to the spiritual master and to the pleasure of Krishna. I think that's the essence of it. And like there is this Srila Prabhupada quotes this verse from Bhagavad Gita 241, and the commentary of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur to it, and he explains that this is very important for him. It was very inspiring for him. That I don't care about my happiness. My happiness is whatever the spiritual master tells me. This will be my happiness. I remember also Devamrita Maharaj was explaining how he was distributing books in the beginning. He said that for 2 years he was the Sankirtan leader. And he didn't distribute practically any books, and he was saying, I hated this service, but I was determined to learn how to love this service, because this was the desire of Prabhupada. So he hated it, but then he wanted to to continue, and he wanted to please his spiritual master. I think this is very
especially as a very important message also to our, of course we record this now, everything should be relevant, but this should be relevant for devotees and new devotees or beginners to really take yourself back and sacrifice more and do more and surrender. And because now, not maybe nowadays maybe, but people are a little bit weak and know if it's not fitting to me and very egoistic, right? We live in very egoistic times and it has to suit me and all that. Egocentric, completely egocentric, and we should kick it out and surrender.
Even the materialistic society realizes this. I was watching one interview with the former general who was in command of all United States forces in Afghanistan back in the day, and now he has this initiative. He wants to basically to introduce in the society amongst the kids in America this idea of sacrifice, community service for 1 year. There are different projects that that are accepted by the government as valuable for the society, and they want to encourage the kids before they go to after college, before they take a job, to do 1 year of volunteer service for the society.
Yeah.
And this will be also, they envision this as kind of training also.
Right.
Not exactly like military training, but something similar. There will be some discipline. They'll have to do things as they are told to. Something like brahmacari training, like Gurukul. Yeah. And we need this very much in ISKCON also.
Even when I was in military, I recognized it was very good. And I was not averse to it. Somehow I did it, but afterwards I really thought actually I was very. Afterwards I was also not so disciplined, but at least at that time I saw this is something. Yeah. There was something in it actually.
Yeah. So, in my country, everybody had to go. I had to go for 18 months, and it was well-established fact that unless you went to the army, you are not accepted as for the boys, of course, not accepted as like full-fledged member of the society, of the community afterwards. I mean, the people were asking, did you go to the army?
Oh, okay. Yeah, this is not so much here anymore. But anyway, that what we want to offer to people in general, especially young people also, temple life, brahmacari training, it's super important. Also for women, also for girls, right? So I can also get some training. ISKCON in the West especially. India is maybe a little bit different. Yeah,
girls are trained better at home and boys are trained better outside of home because boys tend to be unaware. They think that food just appears like this and the clothes are washed and folded and in their place just like this, and they need to go out of this environment where their mom is taking care of them, to go out and to become aware what it takes to have food on the table, to have clean clothes, to have clean house. They need to go out. Therefore, they are trained in Gurukul.
But as long as the girls and women are not trained at home, because this was Prabhupada also saying, right? He said, nobody trains them, so I have to take care of them. So in the West, we have so-called brahmacharini, ashram, and all this. And I can see also that women and girls in our temples, they appreciate this very much, and for them it's very important training too. Also. So this is the burden we have to take to bear. And I just want to encourage also listeners, viewers to take some time off and go into temple and
get some
training and surrender and see where your ego is, because at home you think you are a Paramahamsa, enlightened soul, and then in temple life and you see where something to work on.
I'm so happy to hear that, and I also wholeheartedly can encourage, because my field is, I work with we are brahmachari, so we work with boys most of the time, so especially the boys, to take their time to get some brahmachari training, because this will be very helpful in their future grihastha life.
Exactly, yeah.
Because they will learn, in the best possible scenario, of course, they will imbibe all these values that they will help them to be successful grihasthas, like respect for authority, control of the senses, cleanliness, discipline. Without these qualities, you cannot be proper grihastha. And and you can learn this later on in grihastha life also, but it will be much harder.
More painful. Very painful.
Yeah. So let's go for the easy way.
Yeah. Yes, good. Okay, so it was very spontaneous that we came together now, and it was very interesting. Of course, we went as we flowed, an experiment. But in future, if you're here, or
sure. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to speak about Krishna and to approach your wide audience online. I appreciate this opportunity. Thank you, and I hope to have this opportunity again in future.
Yeah, would be wonderful. Okay, thank you so much.
Haribol.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Jai.
Thank you, Prabhu.
You happy?
Yes, very good.
Okay.
Hare Krishna.